Prabhu. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivara Dhari Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Sadi Gora Bhaktivinoda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gora Bhaktivinoda Chaitanya Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gora Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jai Om Vishnupad Paramamsa Prabhupada-Acharya Sutra Śrīmad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Prem Se Gaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Ki Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we are reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto number 6. Chapter number 9, The Appearance of the Demon Vritasura, text number 51. Magavan yata bhadram vo dhadyancham rishitatamam vidyavrata tapasaram Gatram yachata machiram Magavan yata bhadram vo Dhadyancham rishisatamam Vidyavrata tapasaram Gatram yachata machiram Magavan yata bhadram vo Dhadyancham Richisatamam Vidyavrata Tapasaram Gatram Yachatamachiram Dhadyancha Rishisatamam Tapasaram Anjam Rishisatamam Satamam Vidyavrata tapasaram Taram vachatamachiram. Vaishnavis. Bhagavan yata bhadram vo Tadyancham rishi sattamam Vidyavrata tapasaram Tatram yachitamachiram. Bhagavan yatra bhadram vo Dadyancham rishi sattamam Vidyavrata tapasaram Yachitamachiram. Dadyancham rishi sattamam Vidyavrata tapasaram Gatram yachatamachiram. Bhagavan, O Indra, Yata, go, Padram, good fortune, Vaha, to all of you, Dadyancham, to Dadyancha, Rishi Sattamam, the most exalted saintly person, Vidya, of education, Vrata, vow, Tapaha, austerities, Saram, the essence, Gatram, his body, Yachata, ask for, Machiram, without delay. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. O Bhagavan, Indra, all good fortune unto you. I advise you to approach the exalted saint Dadyancha, Dadichi, in brackets. He has become very accomplished in knowledge, vows, and austerities, and his body is very strong. Go ask him for his body without delay. Please repeat after me. O Bhagavan, Indra, all good fortune unto you. I advise you to approach the exalted saint Dadyancha, Dadichi. He has become very accomplished in knowledge, vows, and austerities, and his body is very strong. Go ask him for his body without delay. Purport. Everyone in the material world, from Lord Brahma down to the ant, is eager to keep his body comfortable. A pure devotee may also be comfortable, but he is not eager for such a benediction. Since Bhagavan, the King of Heaven, still aspired for a comfortable bodily situation, Lord Vishnu asked him to ask Dadyancha for his body, which was very strong due to his knowledge, vows, and austerity. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshuntam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayet. Before reciting the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Nara Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, and unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here, the Supreme Lord is speaking to the demigods who had offered very eloquent prayers unto him. So as you might recall the pastime, what's the name of the personality at the start of this chapter? Vishvarupa, yes. So Vishvarupa was the priest of the demigods. He had 3 heads on his shoulders. And he was related to the demigods from his father's side. And from his mother's side, he was related to the demons. So, as he was doing, offering oblations into the yajna for the pleasures of the demigods, he was also giving a portion to the demons out of affection, because they were related to him. And Indra found that out eventually. Indra discovered that Vishvarup is cheating them. So out of anger and frustration, and ultimately because he was threatened by the demigods, he felt that because he's giving these portions to the demons, the demons will become powerful and they'll eventually take over my position. And out of feeling threatened, he cut off Vishwarupa's head. And then his father, Tvashta, his father's name is Tvashta, or... Yes? Yeah. So his father, he basically performed a sacrifice, and he prayed, and he chanted mantras, so Indra's enemy will be born and kill him. And then from the south of that sacrificial, from that yajna, came Vritasura, one who covers all directions, Vrita. So Vritasura manifested, and he was a very powerful demon. And he was so ferocious, the whole description is given. His beard, his hair, and his mustache was the color of copper. He had a dark body, and sometimes it resembled dark clouds. And you can imagine a copper hair. And so it was a very ferocious personality, and the demigods were very threatened by him. And then the demigods, they all gathered, and they offered prayers unto the Supreme Lord. And they offered these beautiful, eloquent prayers, full of great meaning. And then the Lord was pleased, and Lord Narayan, he appeared there with his associates. So all that the demigods did, and after all that beautiful prayers, they asked for protection from the demon Vritasura. They asked for his annihilation so they could flourish. So that shows that the demigods, because they're not pure devotees, they ask for a material benediction. And here the Lord is telling the demigods how they can overcome that obstacle. And He's telling them, you can approach the Dichi, basically, and He advises them in the coming verses of the means or the strategy to approach the Dichi through the Ashwini Kumaras. So out of affection for the Ashwini Kumaras, the Dichi will give his body to them. And then they can use the Dichi's body, they can use the bones from the Dichi's body to make a thunderbolt weapon, which will be used to kill Vritasura. Because the Dichi has been blessed with the Narayan Kavacha. So that was the strategy. But the point is, the demigods are eager to maintain their status quo, or in other words, to have a comfortable body. They wanted to maintain their material arrangements of enjoyment. So the demigods are not pure devotees. Ultimately, everyone is a devotee of Krishna, right? We all are devotees of Krishna. But because we have forgotten that fact, we have been covered by the illusory energy, and our knowledge has been covered or stolen. And from time immemorial, we are rotting in the material world. We are rotting in this realm, trying to be the independent enjoyers, masters, and controllers of everything, or at least something. Everyone is trying to influence or control in some way. Just like there's social media influences, right? If you want to have a successful business, now your strategy should be to tie up with the influencers who can help to promote your business. So an influencer is basically someone who's more expert in controlling. So everyone is trying to be the lord of matter in their own way. And that's why all types of, especially leadership positions, are very attractive, because it facilitates you becoming the lord of something, of some people, or or of an organization which is basically comprised of people, right? So such roles are generally very attractive to people because that enhances their ability to control. Just like we had the elections in Australia. And everyone, not everyone, a lot of people want to be the Prime Minister. That post is very much desired. Or to be a minister in the cabinet. And that gives great control. So in that way, we are trying to lord it over others in our own way. Or if we look at someone in a certain way, just by our eyebrows, we can control someone. Just like a wife can control her husband just by the change of a tone or by looking a certain way. So that is control, right? And we all control in different ways, and we want to be the independent controllers and enjoyers. And we are trying to find satisfaction and happiness. Ishwaraham aham bhogi, siddhavan balavan sukhi. I am the Lord of everything. I am the Ishwar. And I'll be happy by being the Ishwar. But that is not possible. That leads to simply leads to frustration and unhappiness. So the demigods are mixed devotees. So we all have this material disease that we have to purify. So the reason we are in this material world is this material realm is a realm of transformation. So Krishna has unwillingly put us in this material world so we can exercise our mad desires. We have these crazy desires of being the Ishvara. And that is madness. So everyone in this world is mad. not just someone who has mental health issues. We say they are mad. Or who has schizophrenia or some severe mental illness, they're delusional. Everyone is delusional to various degrees because we are trying to be the Lord and masters of everything or something. So that is our disease. So we are infected by this disease. And this realm is a place where we can exercise our crazy desires, but also at the same time be transformed. So I've given this example many times. In every state, there is a corrections facility. There is a prison. So it says it is a correction center to correct the inmates' problems, right? They might have committed murder or theft or who knows what, for whatever reason they're in there, or financial crimes. So the corrections facilities to correct them, to reform them, and then put them back in society where they can live a lawful existence. So in the same way, this material realm is a corrections facility. This is a very nice example. This is a Shastric example. It said the material world is a prison. So it is a very appropriate example because a prison is a place of transformation. And in the prison you have different different gradations. There is, depending on what you've done. If you have really misbehaved in society, then you're put under severe punishment. Maybe you're in a cell by yourself for long periods of time. So I don't know what exactly goes on in a prison, but there's different gradations, right? And then you're given opportunity to render some service and to transform yourself. And then in the prison there are also prison guards. There's the corrections staff, right? So there's the guards. So those guards are like the demigods. They are in charge of the demigods are in charge of the material realm. right? They hold various administrative posts. So the prison guards are the demigods who are in charge of the prison. And a foolish prisoner, instead of approaching the judge, they approach the prison guards. So the prisoner, if a prisoner has to come out, what's the best way of coming out of a prison? You reform yourself, right? And then if you reform yourself, then you're taken in front of a judge. And the judge says, okay, the judge gets the evidence, yes, XYZ has reformed himself, they have been a good inmate, they have followed the instructions, and they've demonstrated the ability to not offend again, and so I will release them. Because they control the system. So an intelligent person will approach the Supreme Lord, who is the master and the controller of everything, and who they are intimately related to. But a foolish person, due to less intelligence, due to tiny intelligence, they approach the prison guards. And they say, hey, can you get me some contrabands inside? Hey, can you get me the magazine, or can you get me a phone? So they ask for these small, petty things, when they could be, and they're approaching these people who can only give them these temporary, small happiness, and who themselves are bound by the laws of nature. Who themselves are also bound by the laws of the prison system. So the demigods are the administrative heads of the material realm. And demigod worship is also suggested in the Shastra. Like yesterday Prabhu was speaking about demigod worship, and that was the verse. The verse yesterday spoke about that. So the Shastra also recommends demigod worship. And Krishna also speaks in the talks about demigod worship in the Bhagavad Gita, right? He says, Kamaistai hitagyana prabhadyante anya devata tam niyamam asthaya prakritya niyatasvaya. That those whose minds are distorted by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. So the demigod worship is actually recommended for the less intelligent or the foolish people. And it is a gradual means of purification. It is a very gradual means. And so why people approach demigods? Because they have strong desires which they want to be fulfilled. So in India, especially, demigod worship is still to some degree it's popular. People will do all these yagyas, pujas. You can see, what are some popular yagyas? Satyanarayana puja. What do they ask for in that? Benediction, right? Material benedictions. Yes. What are some other popular yagyas? Good job. Yeah, PR. Yes. So these are examples of pujas done for material benedictions. And these days we also see a lot of kirtans are happening. And people are chanting demigod mantras in the West. Like a couple of weeks ago, I was doing some market analysis. So I went to this kirtan to see what they're doing. And they were chanting these mantras which I've never heard of. And most of them were just concoctions. Durga Ma, Kali Ma, Ganesh. Actually, it was quite an austerity to sit for 2 hours. And so they were chanting all these mantras. And basically, in a subtle way, they're asking for material happiness. And then one point they were chanting, Hey Bhagavan, or O Bhagavan. So people are chanting, people take the names of demigods for material benedictions. That, give me a comfortable life, make me happy. And yes, that is nice, but there is something better than that. You can get something much better than that. So why ask for these small things when you can get something better? So these demigod worship is recommended in the Shastra to give people an opportunity to gradually uplift their consciousness. For those who don't want to go the express way, there is a long way, and that is also okay. But it's more intelligent if you approach Krishna if you approach Krishna directly. In the Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 3rd chapter, text number 10, it says, Akama sarvakamava moksha akama sarvakamava moksha kama udaradi. What's the third line? Tivrena bhakti yogena purusham yajeta purusham param. Right? So whether you're full of material desires, which we all are, or have no material desires, whether you're full of material desires, have no material desires, or what's the third one? Oops. Or desiring liberation, moksha kama, right? So you approach Krishna. Because if we approach Krishna, that is the best way. And he will gradually, he'll purify us. So in the previous verses, material desires have been compared to poison. So poison is highly undesirable, right? We avoid poison at all costs. So if someone takes poison, they are a madman, right? You'll say, why are you taking poison? Are you crazy? So asking demigods for material desires, the equivalent of demigods today, is we approach people who have power and influence, and we ask them to fulfill our desires. So we worship our boss, or whoever can satisfy our desires. You might come across, some property seminar. There's such and such guru can tell you how to achieve riches if you follow his strategy. So that's like a demigod for you. But it is more intelligent to approach Krishna directly. And material desires are compared to poison. So why drink this poison? You have to be really foolish to drink poison. But because of our ignorance, we think that these material desires will make us happy. That is our ignorance. We take what is poison to be nectar, and Krishna talks about that in the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. It talks about happiness in the three modes, and he says those who are in the mode of passion, right? He talks about Rajagun. They take they take what's nectar. To them, nectar tastes like poison. So material desires are actually poison for us. But out of foolishness, we are desiring them, out of madness. And Krishna is like a physician. Again, analogy is given of a physician. If you go to a good doctor, he's going to tell you what the root cause of your problem is. They just won't give you a patch. Here, take this, write a prescription. There you go, out of the door. And this will just cover your symptoms. They'll understand your root problem, and they'll tell you what to refrain from. Right? That's like in especially traditional medicine, Ayurveda, Chinese medicine, naturopathy. They'll all tell you, okay, you need to refrain from such and such foods or such and such activities because they're not good for you. That's what made you sick, and if you engage in that, that will further that will worsen your disease. You need to avoid that, at least for some time. So similarly, Krishna understands, because Krishna is God. He knows what is best for us. So Krishna, being the Supreme Lord, He won't give us what is bad for us. So so we approach the demigods and or people. We say, okay, give me this, give me that. How can I fulfill your desires so I can get something in return? That's what material life is about. If we approach someone, it is okay. Let's have a win-win deal. I'll do something for you, then I'll get something in return. So we approach the demigods also with the same mentality. I'll do some yagyas, I'll do some pujas, I'll do Satyanarayan puja, I'll do this or that, and then I expect such and such in return. So what is my return on investment? But if we approach Krishna, we might even approach Krishna with the same mentality. I'm doing devotional service, I'm chanting 16 rounds, I'm doing service, but what is the return on investment? From a material perspective. But Krishna is not like the demigods. Krishna is supremely intelligent. He desires our ultimate welfare. So Krishna will give us what is good for us. And we might not be happy with that. So sometimes we are not happy how Krishna treats us in bhakti. We have done so much tapasya, services, but I haven't got what I was desiring for in bhakti. Maybe that position, or the fame, or the name, the prestige. So Krishna doesn't sometimes give us those things because they're not good for us. That is poison. Why would He give someone He loves poison? So an intelligent person approaches Krishna. And that's why not many people approach Krishna. Krishna's worshippers are in minority. Demigod worshippers are in majority. So because Krishna doesn't always give us what we're after. He gives us what is good for us. Akama sarva kamama moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. So an intelligent person will understand that Krishna is the Lord of everything. Krishna, I'm part and parcel of Krishna, and therefore I need to approach Him and surrender and leave the rest to Him. So even though we might have material desires, still better to go to Krishna directly. And Krishna is such an expert, He will gradually purify us. For some devotees, Krishna might take everything away. And that sometimes it happens. If you're really favored by God, if Krishna really likes you, he decides to give you the ultimate favor, He'll make you a material failure. He can't do that. So why? So that you take shelter of Him. If He sees you have the ability, the shraddha enough to again come back to Him, He might do that. And Krishna is supremely independent. He can do what He likes. So on a case-by-case basis, He deals with us. And that can be quite scary for us. Oh no, I approached Krishna and look what happened. There's like one disaster after the other happening. But a devotee will say, okay, there's nowhere else to turn to. My family has left me. I took shelter of Krishna, now no one likes me in my family. And quite often that happens with devotees. No one in your family can relate to you and they think you're a material failure, a total failure. What are you doing all day? It's chanting, and we sent you to Australia, New Zealand, or UK or USA to rise the corporate ladder. to make your family proud. And what are you doing? You've joined an ashram, or you've lost your material drive. So, we might be forsaken by your family. Or you might have, maybe you're running a business, it's not working out. Then, I'm practicing Krishna consciousness. What happened? So these things sometimes happen. But so Krishna can take away, but a devotee who has strong faith, they will go back to Krishna. And Prabhupada, he quoted this verse from the 10th canto. Because Prabhupada's intentions were always pure, and he wanted to spread Krishna consciousness, and his way of doing it was, let me make money, and I'll use that money in spreading Krishna consciousness. It was a pure motive. But we know Prabhupada's businesses didn't work out the way he was thinking. Prabhupada's businesses were not successful. But Krishna wanted him to be successful in another way. So he took away everything, and Prabhupada, he as usual, he took shelter of the Lord in all instances. And the Lord indicated to Prabhupada, he wanted him to preach in a certain way. He wanted him to take sannyas, go to the West, and he was a great inspiration to all of us, right? What Prabhupada did. So if Krishna has a special favor upon someone, he can take away everything. But generally, the Lord satisfies our desires in such a way that we get what we want, but at the same time we lose attraction for it. The example of that is like Dhruva Maharaj. So Dhruva Maharaj, he wanted to have a kingdom greater than his father, right? So he wanted a kingdom even greater than his grandfather. And so that was a material desire. And he was only 5 years old, such a young boy, so determined, a Kshatriya boy, extremely determined. Even Narad Muni, he was surprised by his strong desires. But then he said, okay, yeah, he's a Kshatriya, so the Kshatriya boy, he can desire that. But he was taken back by his intense desires. So he had this strong desire, but Krishna fulfilled it in such a way. Narad Muni came, he gave him the means, and he engaged in that means of purification. And in the end, the Lord appeared and said, okay, take what you want. I'll give you a kingdom greater than your grandfather, your father, grandfather. But then Dhruva said, actually all this is like broken pieces of glass, totally insignificant. It's like some stones there, it's not gold. Even gold is insignificant for a devotee. So he said, this is all insignificant. And he was purified. But at the same time, his material desire was satisfied. So if we approach Krishna, if we're intelligent, we should approach Krishna. And Krishna will fulfill our desires in such a way that eventually we'll lose the taste for them. And you might have experienced that also. You might have maybe you had some strong desire, or I want this position in the temple or whatever. And then Krishna gives it to you. And then you realize how much of a headache it is. And you get so purified by it, by doing that. And that's great, and any service is fantastic. If you had like a material desire, sometimes Krishna can fulfill it. I want to make a lot of money. Okay. You might make the money, but probably in the process you get so frustrated, then you say, oh, it's actually not worth it. So this is the beauty of Krishna. He administers the medicine in such a way that we become, we might get what we want, or we might not get it, but we eventually become purified. and we think, oh, actually that wasn't really worth it. I want to engage more in Krishna's service. So we'll leave it here. See if you have any questions or comments on today's. Yes, Prabhu.
One wants to be a sincere devotee of Lord. Lord takes away all his attachment and makes him destitute. He loses everything. And that's why insecurity pops up.
Sometimes, not always. Yeah.
And also it's comes on the way to becoming a good devotee of Lord, that that has happened to me as well. So how to deal with that?
So the question is, if Krishna bestows his mercy and takes everything away, how to deal with it?
Yes.
If Krishna makes you a material failure.
Yeah, it makes you a material failure.
Okay, how to deal with it?
But that's now Krishna makes material failure.
Yeah.
Then he's going to take away everything, whatever I've got it after so much of effort. So then I see it as a discouragement towards on the path of Krishna.
Yeah, I mean, to take away everything, that only happens to few devotees. Doesn't happen to most, because most can't handle it. So Krishna knows that. Most can't actually handle that level of intensity. Krishna taking away everything, because their faith is not that strong. But I guess your question is, if we're not getting what we want from bhakti, how do we deal with that? Because that's discouraging, right? That's what you're saying.
That's why it's coming to suddenly.
Yeah. Well, we have to take more shelter of Krishna. So if we are in such a situation, we are feeling discouraged, I didn't get what I wanted from my practice of Krishna consciousness, material things, then rather than leaving bhakti or taking a break, we need to do the opposite. So we need to take shelter of the devotees and approach devotees and tell them, this is such and such happened with me, such and such situation I'm going through, I'm feeling discouraged in my Krishna consciousness, what should I do? So devotees will probably tell you to chant better, increase your chanting, quality of chanting, read more Shastra and pray to Krishna. So basically we need to intensify our sadhu sangha, and through that intensification of sadhu sangha, in their guidance and association, we'll be able to see that is actually the Lord's benediction, that I haven't got what I wanted, because that would have made my situation much worse. Maybe if you got what you wanted, you would have forgotten Krishna. You would have gone further away from Krishna. So we should see that as Krishna's blessings. In the association of devotees and by reading of Shastra, we'll see that was actually Krishna's favor upon me. He did that. We'll see that as a blessing. And whatever Krishna happens to us, a devotee should see that as a means of purification. That's the mentality of a devotee. That if something good happens to me, if I've got some facility, money, how can I engage it in God's service? And the best way to do it is to spread the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya, right? And if something unfavorable has happened, maybe poor health or financial losses or relationship problems, how health problems. So you can see, okay, this is Krishna's sending me some distress, so I can take more shelter of him. Because a devotee under distress or happiness should approach Krishna in both instances. And even Queen Kunti, she prayed, right? My dear Lord, please give me more distress so I can take more shelter of you. And even here, the demigods, out of distress, they are approaching Krishna. So they're following that verse, akama sarvakama, right? So demigods are basically in distress because of Vritasura. And they're taking shelter of Krishna, though for material purposes. They're not very intelligent. They could have asked Krishna for pure bhakti. So, that's the most... So if you're in distress, okay, how to deal with it? Be in the association of devotees, and then hopefully use that distress as a means to not ask the Lord to get rid of it, which is what the demigods are doing right now, but to approach the Lord and approach Krishna and say, how can I get closer to you? How can I use this to become a pure devotee? So our immediate knee-jerk reaction will be to approach God, Krishna, and say, can you get rid of it for me? That'll be a knee-jerk reaction, right? Can you please remove this distress? Why remove it? So I can be happy. So I can continue with my material. So I can basically have my material desires. I can have my cake and eat it. But actually, if we need to approach Krishna and ask the Lord to remove our material contamination, to get rid of this poison, and make us into a pure devotee, and give us an opportunity to render more service. And the best service is to assist in the glorification or the spreading of the Sankirtan movement in whatever way you can do it. So, yeah. Sorry, Mahatma Prabhu, then I'll come to you.
Nanda, can you tell us something about the lychee? How it became so strong and powerful that Lord had to recommend that go and get bones.
Yeah, so that's the next 4 or 5 verses. You'll have to come and hear that.
You can tell us your
So, in the gist of it, I can't remember the story, but the Dichi he had the Narayan Kavacha. So because he had the Narayan Kavacha, that's why he was so powerful. And the Lord recommended the demigods to ask the Dichi for his body, which they would use to make the thunderbolt weapon from his bones.
How did he get the Kavach?
I can't remember. Maybe if you know, you can tell us. Does anyone know how he got the Narayan Kavacha? No? Okay. So you'll have to ask this question to maybe the next speaker. Yes, Prabhuji.
When Indra was cursed, he goes and takes shelter of Brahma for the first time, and second time, when he goes to Brahma again because of his offense, Brahma sends him to a rishi. I don't know his name, and then he performs a yajna, and then he gives him the boon of this mantra, protection, and with that he'll be able to.
Okay, thank you.
That's yes, I heard a couple of cases.
Prabhu.
My question was very similar. I wanted to ask, what is the trick that the Lychee, even though he was so accomplished in Laos and austerity, his body was very strong. Like I wanted to ask, how how is it like that? Because earlier we had the case of Devahuti. She was doing austerity, but her body got very big. It's also my experience also when there's a good days we have a lot of austerities. Generally we get weaker. So I was thinking, wanted to ask, what is that trick that made the Dichi so strong, even though it was so austere?
Yeah, so the Dichi had a lot of strength, right? So yeah, if you do austerities, you get spiritual strength. So I think the strength referred is spiritual strength. So when we, it's said here, right? Because he was very accomplished in knowledge, vows, and austerities. So by doing this, I guess you can get material and spiritual strength, depending on the type of austerities, vows, and knowledge you've undertaken. So like Hiranyakashipu, he engaged in austerities. He engaged in great austerities, standing on one leg and whatnot he did. So, yeah, his body was emaciated. He got weaker, but eventually got stronger. Right? So with those austerities, he got the benedictions by which he became extremely powerful. And so we can see that the result of austerities is you get some potency. Maybe your body might become weaker, but you might get some other potency. In the Dichi's case, it seems he got everything. His body also became very strong, and certainly he had spiritual potency because he had the Narayan Kavacha.
Okay, that brings up another question. Does it justify? Sometimes devotees, we say, or here I said also, that we go through austerities, body's getting weaker. But then we could think, hearing those examples, that then we just have to bite through, just keep going. And then eventually we crack it, maybe the crack is the wrong word. Eventually we bite through this hard time of austerity, and then eventually we come to the point where we're actually getting stronger. That we could think like that. Or some devotees we could think that you do all these austerities, your body's very weak, and eventually you break. What is our philosophy? Because you could justify Noah's, consider Nikashipu, he was doing austerities, and his body was going weak and weaker, but then actually got the benedictions. Or we can see maybe the example of others as well. So how do we understand it? We go for austerities, maybe we can see we're getting weaker, so we just keep going, and eventually we get the good result. Or we keep going and we break.
Well, our point is we do austerities to please Krishna, right? That's the main point. So our goal in life is to please the Lord. When the Lord is satisfied, our life is successful. And how is the Lord pleased? By pleasing the spiritual master by carrying out his instructions. And in carrying out his instructions, that entails a degree of austerity. Right? So that's the one point. Is to please the spiritual master. And our austerities are, rising up early in the morning, chanting your rounds, chanting Hare Krishna, reading scripture, and doing some service, and while maintaining your body. So all this takes a degree of austerity. And of course, in order to do this, you have to keep your body, mind. You have to keep your body and mind healthy, right? So the goal of Krishna consciousness is not to do tapasya as such. That's not the goal, right? So there was, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's what's that brahmachari who was trying to tell Lord Chaitanya, I just drink milk. What was his name? Does anyone remember? No? So this brahmachari, he said, try to impress the Lord I'm doing so much tapasya by just drinking milk. The goal of Krishna consciousness is not to drink milk. How much milk you can drink. No, the goal of Krishna consciousness is to please Krishna, and what pleases your spiritual master. And then we do whatever austerity is required. For example, spiritual master instruction might be, okay, preach, start a center or something. So austerity is in running that center. There's so much needs to be done. So that is austerity. And in doing that, we do it in such a way that we don't, or at least not try to get burnt out. So the austerity also has to be balanced, that it doesn't stop our service in the long run. You can do austerities. If you have been given a service, generally the services we are given are long-term, right? The spiritual masters say, like if you preach Krishna consciousness, that's a very long-term thing. The scope is very broad, and it's pretty much till the end of your body. So if you have to do that your whole life, that you have to intelligently think how to do it, and also at the same time persevere to do it long enough. Right? So we do austerities so there is a degree. Austerity means a degree of sacrifice, right? You're sacrificing maybe your comfort, and so many other things that you could be doing, and you're doing that to please your guru. But it shouldn't be to such a degree that the austerity should come in the way of your service, right? So the austerity, and if that happens, then austerity has become the focus, not service to the Lord through the guru. So austerity has to be what pleases your spiritual master to that degree. Anything more than that is just coming in the way, and that's not our goal. Our goal is not to take cold showers. Cold shower is good. If that helps you to chant attentive japa, sure. But it's not about just doing austerities for the sake of doing it. I'm taking cold showers because that makes me more austere. Or I'll just sleep on the bed, on the cold floor. I'll just sleep on the floor. Okay, sure. But if that makes your body stiff, what's the point? Or if you wake up with a sore body, what's the point of that austerity? You better sleep on a comfortable bed, on a warm bed, if that helps you to do your service better. Or even sometimes I'll attend all Mangala. I'll rise every day at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. And then you do that, and then you're doing so many other things, and then you're just tired all the time. So it has to be balanced. Austerities have to be balanced so that your main service that is given to you doesn't get disrupted. So it takes some intelligence and maturity to see how much. It's like a balance. Basically, it's a balancing act. That's what I'm saying. Our main austerity is to please the spiritual master, and to that, you do what's necessary to do that, and then you have to balance in such a way that your health is not destroyed in the process, and you have some degree of sanity. Yes, Madhuri. One second. Come to you.
My question is about hard-heartedness. So
Yeah.
giving, doing outreach, and giving a lot to people, and because people's conditioning, sometimes they can't reciprocate with us. So how not to become hard-hearted, always try to give, because it's easy to just be like, okay, I'm going to draw the line here because people are not reciprocating with us. And of course we know that people have the conditioning to not reciprocate with us. But because we are a certain way, we expect reciprocation, and we don't get it, we're like, okay, we're just kind of like doing that kind of business deal with people that I'm going to give this much if I get this in return.
Yeah.
So how not to become hard-hearted?
Yeah. What's the question? Mataji is asking if we are doing outreach or preaching, that entails a lot of sacrifices, giving a lot of time, giving a lot of energy, and and quite often there's very little reciprocation. In fact, can be the opposite. You get blamed and criticized, right? Even the exact opposite can happen, much worse than that. So how to deal with that? How not to become hard-hearted. Basically we have to become detached. and how to become detached is, it's a really good question you asked, and it's not easy to do. I struggled with that myself. So when doing preaching and see so few people are coming, you put so much effort and few come, and the few that come don't come back, or if they come back, they don't reciprocate. If they take up for some time and then they go away. So it just looks like a losing battle. And we can think, what's the point of all this, right? I did so much, and what did I get in return? Nothing. I just got all this headache. and meanwhile, I haven't progressed materially. I could have done so many things. I could have made money. I could have done these courses or whatever, Could have been made more progress. Look at other people who are doing that. They've made so much progress, and here I'm stuck in this preaching center. So we can think like that. But actually, it's I guess the way we can see it is, it's a great blessing to do such a service. You're doing what Krishna comes down in the material world for. That's what you're doing. So, Krishna says, what is saying in Bhagavad Gita? Or what's the purpose of the Lord? The purpose of the material world is to purify the jiva, right? And Krishna comes himself. He personally comes. And then he sends various incarnations. And he sends his pure devotees. So you're doing what you're doing what he's doing. He has come to do. So we are assisting the Lord in spreading Krishna consciousness. And if you do that, that person is most dear to the Lord. Krishna says that. So that can be I guess an inspiration for us, something to look up to. So if we are feeling very down or we're feeling hard-hearted after doing all this tapasya, I'm getting criticized. Even worse is you get criticized, right? And these days, as criticism is very easy. You just put a video. You might be on YouTube, or somebody might write an article on you, right? Or make a series of videos about you, and it's out there on the internet, and for everyone to watch and listen for years to come. You can't remove it down. It's not your channel. So what do you do? So it's, I guess, the way for me, what is personally, I see it that way. Okay, we're trying to assist the Lord in the mission the Lord came for. And we are so blessed to have that opportunity to assist the parampara and the spiritual master in doing that service. And that's how we push forward. And despite all the setbacks, continue. And also then take shelter of the holy name. And be in the association of more enthusiastic devotees than us. Then I guess all combination of all of that, it helps us to continue doing this extremely challenging service. It is very challenging, but it is also very rewarding, right? So you get the highest reward. You get recognized by the parampara, by the spiritual master, parampara, and ultimately by Krishna himself. So life is perfect. You can have all the other things. You could be trying to be materially successful, but at the end of the day, you might get that, but it's not very satisfying. And that's evident we see that in society. People are very successful, but they're not satisfied. And they have so many other issues. You might have come across people. So we can do all that. Or you might be, better to be a mixed devotee. Have my feet in both worlds, be a devotee, but also try to be successful. But That's okay, that's fine, but there's something much better than that. And so, yeah, what you're doing is the best, and you get the highest rewards. Yeah.
I think not to have any expectations out of it. Just do your service as much as you can.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. True. But that's very hard, right? A conditioned soul means having desires, and we usually do something to get something out of it. Yeah. So that's the pure devotee platform. Not to have any expectations in return for doing service. Yes.
Then we have expectation of spiritual expectation that whoever coming that with us should be able to advance in Krishna consciousness.
Yes.
And then this is a challenge because a lot of them they come, then they don't come, and they come with the opponent come, and then you are struggling like that. So you are not going to get that spiritual results as much as you would like. Or that is also the desire is there.
Yes. Yes.
How to deal with that?
Yeah, so you're not, your project is not flourishing in the time frames you had envisaged. By this hour, these many people would be coming, and we have all these programs going on, and nothing is going to plan. So, yeah, you just have to, how to deal with that.
And there's a pressure from senior devotees by your program is not flourishing, right?
Yeah, you might have peer pressure. Or look at that center that is doing so well. We are struggling. Look at us. Yeah. So how to deal with it? Hey, Krishna is in charge. Krishna is in control. I can only do so much. I can only try my best. The rest is up to Krishna. And whether it's a success or failure, ultimately it's in Krishna's hands. But at least we tried. At least you're better off failing trying for Krishna. You're better off failing trying for Krishna than not trying at all.
I mean, there is always desire, non-stop material desire, now having spiritual desire. So this is wrong, that having a spiritual desire now, which I can offer to Krishna.
No, it's good to have spiritual desires. We desire, so you have to change from material to spiritual desires. But even your spiritual desires might not be fulfilled. And ultimately it's up to Krishna. And you have to accept what Krishna does. But you have to try your best. Not say, okay, I just did a little bit and...
And if it's not matching to my expectation, then I should not blame Krishna. Oh, Krishna, I'm doing so much for you, and you're not... So that should not also be.
Correct.
That's a hard lesson.
Not easy. Takes time. Bhakti is a gradual process. It's not a 1 year process or 1 day process or a 6 month. It's a lifetime process. And the transformation is, for most of us, is gradual. We take baby steps and make some progress. So even if we fail, it's fine. That's at least, you're continuing overall. Look at the big scheme of things. You're progressing. So don't beat yourself so hard. I failed or didn't get. Just continue on, march on. Thank you. Good question. I hope that answered. Yeah. So basically, I guess the answer is basically see it as it's a great opportunity to assist the Lord and Parampara in that service. See it as a benediction, and be surrounded by more enthusiastic devotees, and be detached. Yes. What's that?
No, we should take like maybe in any of our previous karma, we would have done the same way and use the other person to in fact, more than the limits and what that person would do.
Yeah.
And that's why I think we have to do it in this one.
Yeah. So a devotee sees their suffering as their karma, right? A devotee sees all their suffering as personally orchestrated by the Lord, and the Lord usually uses your karma to purify you to a degree. And Krishna is independent, so Yeah, you can see that in that way. It's my karma, I'm suffering because I'm karma. It's true. But the main point is, I'll take shelter of Krishna. Yes, I'm going through this, but I'll approach the Lord so I can become His devotee. That's the main point. So that karma, yeah, okay, it's my karma, but then what do you do with it, right? Now, next step is to approach Krishna. Yes, sorry.
Thanks. Just one quick question. One of my mates, when I talk to him about devatas or demigod or whatever, he doesn't believe in the philosophy or he doesn't like the non-material. He doesn't. So how do we handle the situation? Even if Hindu,
So he doesn't accept anything.
like demigods and things like that, different like austerity.
So your question is, your friend doesn't accept any philosophy?
Austerity, specifically.
He doesn't believe in worshipping the demigods or... So what do you do? Give prasadam. Yeah, so if... Yeah, look, everyone's an individual. Everyone's a jiva has free will. And in this world, there are people of different consciousness. Some are devotees, some are pure devotees, many are mixed devotees, even many more are non-devotees. So there'll always be people. That's the material world, right? We are here to forget Krishna. So don't be surprised if someone doesn't accept Vedic philosophy or parts of it, or not at all. So that's quite natural. What do you do if it's hard to convince someone philosophically? There's not much you can do. There's all you can do is then engage them in some way or the other in Krishna consciousness. So the point again is akama va sarva kamama, right? Come in touch with the Lord. So by coming in touch with Krishna, because Krishna is the purifying agent, we gradually get purified. So you can give them prasadam. So by giving prasadam, maybe something they like about Krishna consciousness. They might like kirtan. If they like kirtan, then give them some kirtan to hear. And by doing that, they'll gradually get purified, and maybe one day they'll want to understand more. That's all you can do. You can't force someone. You can't forcibly change someone or bring someone to a program. So where they are, that's how you deal with it. Give them prasadam. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai.